Today we're going to install the Mopeka tank sensors on our propane tanks for our RV. And apparently you can even put these on up to 1,000-gallon tanks of propane. So if you've got one of those big tanks at the house, now you can check its level. Well, welcome again to the Bueller bench. So again, we're going to look at what this Mopeka Procheck is. Let's see, we're going to open this up here. Pretty. So this is your instructions. Looks like it's indicating that these are the sensor pads, these are the magnets, these are the sensor pegs with dielectric grease, which comes with the package. So there's your grease. And then there's the device. This sticks on the bottom of your tank. And this can read up to 1,000-gallon tanks. So you don't need to use it just for your RV. You can use it for like your propane tanks at home, bigger tanks. So these send out a pretty good signal through your tank. Well, the other thing that we got too was this. Now you're wondering what the heck it is? Well, let's open it up. Pretty much this is just a flexible rubber extender for the bottom of your propane tanks. Lets them sit up just a little bit higher on these rings so that when you put it and mount it down, your Mopeka sensor has a little bit more room so it's not squishing it. On some tanks and some apparatus, these things sit just under the tanks and there's not enough of a lip. That's all this does, is just raise your tank up a little bit so that this can sit and magnetically attach to the bottom of your propane tank. So this sensor, it mounts to the underside of your propane tank. It accurately measures the fuel level to within 1%. That's pretty darn good. Communicates via a Bluetooth app or a Wi-Fi bridge. I don't know what the bridge is, but that's what it does. So let's get to installing this and see how well we do. One of the things you got to be able to do is take this off. Do you know how to take it off? Well, I didn't either. So what you pretty much have to do, and forgive all the cobwebs, this thing's only been sitting a week. But at any rate, on ours, we actually put a bungee cord underneath. So, because these things do catch a little air. So I just unhooked these little miniature bungee cords, but pretty much this whole thing lifts straight off. Pretty simple. And that's the reason I put a bungee cord on the bottom, because if the air comes up and has your trailer in, it's gonna throw it off. And I have seen these on the street, on the side of the roads, so just be careful. So now that you've exposed your tanks, and mine are 30-pound tanks, that doesn't mean they weigh 30 pounds, it just means that they are pressurized to 30 pounds, I believe. But at any rate, on ours it's pretty simple. It's just a big wing nut and this little bar that presses down on them. That's it. You got to disconnect the propane regulator from each tank, and I'll eventually have to lift it up a little bit, and I put this little rubber boot on the bottom, stick the little tank sensor on the bottom, and that's it. The rest of it's all at an app. So pretty straightforward, pretty easy. So this is the bottom of our tank. Guess what? They had like well, bubble wrap that they did the same thing that I'm doing with this tank halo. And all you do is just put it on here. Done. Now the reason you put that tank halo on the bottom is because the underneath of your tank is rounded. That ring is what makes it square. So when you put that sensor on, it's on a rounded part of your tank. So if it's there and you put it down, you're gonna crush that, and it really is not gonna sit though. All that does is just add a spacer to the bottom of your tank so that the sensor doesn't get crushed. On my tank bottom, that's what it looks like. It's solid, so that little sensor is not gonna come off or fly out. I'm telling you, that was dead easy. I know if I can do it, you can do it. Probably the hardest part is just lifting the tank. But they're not going anywhere. They just sit on the bottom of your tanks. There's two little magnets on the bottom of them. That's it. And we'll see. Everybody that I've seen online and every review I've read online all says that these things have lasted for years for them. I have no idea about how to replace the batteries. There are instructions, but I don't see anything about a battery. So apparently when you click on your cell phone, it updates them immediately and tells you the level of your tanks. So the next hardest part, which really isn't really that hard, is figuring out how to download your app. So you go to your app store, you look at your Mopeka, look for Mopeka, so type in that. And Mopeka Tank Check brings up the Mopeka Tank Check, and once you download that, you will open it. Let's see, once you open it, you're going to show your two tanks. It's going to be looking for those tanks, and it should show you your levels instantly, just instantly. Now, you do need to tweak it a little bit, so you come up here to your little, they call that right here, the hamburger. So you go on there, you look for the hamburger, and then you go in for how you want your setup done. So you can get notifications, you can upload sensor data, you can do a device search filter, group sensor. So there's a lot to this app, more than what I thought originally it was doing. So, but at any rate, you would click on that. That would give you some addition. Then you click here. This will give you the level of your tank. And then you can come in here to your additional information, and it will tell you the temperature, the sensor type. You can go to sensor positions, and it will tell you how your sensor positions are, what firmware you're at. The other part you're going to want to go to is the little gear, and you're going to want to set what it is. Your device name, you can name your device if you'd like, what region you're in, your tank size, and there are several different tank sizes from 20 pounds all the way to 1,000 pounds. So mine's a 30-pound vertical, and that's what I have it at. And you can set it in a percent or centimeters or inches. You can indicate if this is butane or propane. And again, you can set your thresholds for notifications. But the app is pretty well set up, and it gives you a good visual of your tank in real time. The hardest part, again, is probably cleaning up. The instructions are pretty straightforward. They do have a what they call a Wi-Fi bridge. I'm assuming that's so you can read it further away, or if you have like a big tank on your property or something like that. But there's instructions on how to do it for small tanks up to big tanks. So pretty straightforward. We'll see how these work and report back to you if there's been any problems. But for now, this is Todd from the Bueller Bunch saying see you later until the next video.